How do you enslave a country without invading it? No soldiers, no bombs, no occupation, just a signature, and a shared currency. In the early 2000s, millions of Europeans celebrated the arrival of the euro. It was sold as prosperity, stability, unity. But a decade later, unemployment in parts of Europe crossed 25%. Youth unemployment went above 50%. Entire generations packed their bags and left home. And here's the uncomfortable question. Was it a crisis, or was it the design? Because when countries like Greece, Spain, and Italy needed to escape economic collapse, they discovered something shocking. They didn't control their own money anymore. And once you surrender control of your currency, you don't just lose flexibility, you lose power. This is the story of how a currency, created to unite Europe, ended up binding half of it into economic dependency. Now, picture this. It's 2011. You run a small manufacturing company in southern Italy. Orders are collapsing. German competitors are undercutting your prices. Your customers are switching suppliers. You've seen this before. In the past, when your currency became too expensive, your government would devalue. Your exports would instantly become cheaper. Buyers would return. Problem solved. Except this time, there's no button to press, no lira, no drachma, no peseta, only the euro. And the euro doesn't move for Italy, it moves for Germany. Welcome to the monetary union that was supposed to unite Europe, but instead locked half of it into economic submission. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why some economists quietly call the euro the most elegant financial trap ever built. The deal Europe made. When the euro officially launched in 1999, and physical cash entered wallets in 2002, countries didn't just adopt a new currency. They gave up two crucial powers. One, control over interest rates. Two, control over their exchange rate. From that moment on, the European Central Bank set one interest rate for everyone. Germany, Greece, Spain, Portugal, Italy. One size fits all. But economies aren't one size fits all. Germany exports machines and cars. Spain builds houses and runs tourism. Greece relies heavily on services and shipping. They move at different speeds, yet they now shared one monetary heartbeat. And that's where the imbalance began. Germany's silent strategy. Now here's where the story gets interesting. In the early 2000s, Germany wasn't booming. It was struggling with slow growth and high unemployment. So German unions and employers made a quiet pact. Wages would barely rise. Between 1999 and 2008, Germany's unit labor costs remained almost flat. In manufacturing, they actually fell by around 9%. Meanwhile, wages in southern Europe rose steadily. What does that mean? German goods became relatively cheaper. Southern European goods became relatively more expensive. And because everyone shared the same currency, southern Europe couldn't devalue to respond. German exports surged. By the mid-2000s, Germany became the export powerhouse of Europe. Its trade surplus exploded. But here's the twist. German domestic demand stayed weak. Growth came almost entirely from selling to others. Germany produced, southern Europe consumed, and how did they pay? With debt. The illusion of prosperity, when interest rates are set for a slow German economy, they are too low for a booming Spain. After adopting the euro, Spanish real interest rates fell sharply. Cheap credit flooded the country. Between 2000 and 2007, Spanish credit growth exceeded 20% annually. Construction accounted for nearly 18% of GDP. In 2006 alone, Spain built over 850,000 homes. That's more than Germany, France, and the UK combined. This wasn't organic growth. It was fueled by cheap money. German and French banks lent aggressively to the periphery. The system became circular. German banks lent to Spain. Spain bought German goods. The money flowed back to Germany. Germany accumulated surpluses. Southern Europe accumulated debt. It looked like convergence. It was actually divergence in disguise. Then 2008 happened. The global financial crisis hit. Credit markets froze. Housing bubbles burst. And suddenly the music stopped. Spain's housing construction collapsed from 850,000 units to under 100,000 within a few years. Unemployment skyrocketed. By 2013, Spanish unemployment hit 27%. Youth unemployment exceeded 50%. In Greece, the numbers were even worse. When Greece revealed in 2009 that its deficit was not 6%, but over 15% of GDP, markets panicked. Greece lost access to borrowing almost overnight. What followed were three bailouts totaling over $300 billion. In exchange, Greece implemented severe austerity, massive wage cuts, pension reductions, tax increases. Greek GDP fell by 25% between 2009 and 2014. That is not a recession. That's an economic depression. The cage reveals itself. Here's the key problem. In previous crises, countries would devalue their currency. Exports become cheaper. Tourism becomes cheaper. Recovery begins. But Greece couldn't devalue. Spain couldn't devalue. Italy couldn't devalue. The only option left was something called internal devaluation. That means cut wages, cut spending, accept mass unemployment. But when you cut wages, people spend less. When people spend less, businesses suffer. When businesses suffer, unemployment rises further. It becomes a spiral. Austerity didn't fix the crisis. It deepened it. The hidden chains. Target. Now here's the part most people never hear about. Inside the euro system is a settlement mechanism called Target 2. When money flows from Spain to Germany, say a depositor moves savings to a German bank, Spain, a West central bank, records a liability. Germany's central bank records a credit. After the crisis, capital fled southern Europe. By 2012, Germany's Target 2 claims exceeded $700 billion today. They have surpassed $1 trillion. That means if a country like Italy tried to exit the euro, it would owe hundreds of billions instantly. Leaving wouldn't just mean printing a new currency. It would mean financial chaos, bank runs, legal battles, debt crises. Staying hurts. Leaving might be worse. That's the trap, the human cost. Behind every statistic is a person. In Spain and Greece, a generation entered adulthood during economic collapse. Youth unemployment above 50%. Highly educated graduates leaving for Germany, the UK, the Netherlands. Doctors trained in Athens now working in Munich. Engineers from Madrid designing systems in Berlin. Southern Europe paid to educate them. Northern Europe gained the talent. Research shows early career unemployment permanently reduces lifetime earnings. The euro crisis didn't just shrink GDP. It reshaped lives. Did Europe converge? The promise of the euro was convergence. Poorer countries would catch up. Instead, income gaps widened after 2008. Germany's current account surplus reached over 7 to 8% of GDP annually in the 2010s. Southern Europe struggled with stagnation. The structure favored surplus countries. Deficit countries carried the burden. And because there is no large fiscal transfer system like in the United States, where richer states support poorer ones, the imbalance persists. So is the euro a prison? That depends on perspective. For Germany, the euro eliminated exchange rate risk and locked in competitiveness. For Southern Europe, it removed the escape valve. Exiting could trigger financial disaster. Staying means limited flexibility and slower adjustment. It's not chains you can see. It's rules you can't break. The euro was built to be irreversible. And in making it irreversible, it also made it inescapable. The bigger question, can a monetary union survive without a true fiscal union? Can countries share currency without sharing debt, taxes, and large-scale transfers? Or does one side inevitably dominate? The euro was designed to bind Europe together so tightly that war would become unthinkable. In that sense, it succeeded. But economically, the debate is far from over. So now I want to hear from you. Is the euro a masterpiece of integration or a beautifully engineered trap? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, because the story of Europe's currency is far from finished.